Not just the course of your life, but your family's life and generations to come. Some of y'all grew up in dysfunction. That's all you know because that's all you've seen. Listen, change the community you're around so that your kids don't grow up with that same mindset. Community matters. You know, last week I talked about how Denise and I took the staff to see Nate Bargatze, a comic. And if you want a good laugh, a clean laugh, the guy's hilarious. But we went down there, man. Beforehand, we all met at this Mexican restaurant, ate, we laughed, we shared jokes, we cut up with each other, found out what was going on. After that, we went in for an hour and a half solid, just laughed together. Well, there's nothing spiritual about that. Can I tell you, there's more spiritually going on during that 2.5 hours than a lot of times happens in church. Because there was connections being made. There was, are you hearing me? Community matters. It matters. This past Friday night, 2 nights ago, there was a great opportunity for you to come out and connect. Denise and I showed up at the couples game night. Man, we had fun. We ate with them. We joked with them. I got competitive with them. You know, that's the Kelly side, not the Pastor Kelly side. But it was a time for us to communicate and connect with people that we normally, I loved it because we got there and we drew numbers and you were assigned to a table. What do you mean? Well, you didn't get to sit with who you normally sit with. You were forced to connect with somebody else. And I'm going to tell you, the next time we have one of those, you need to come out to that because we have fun. And there was a lot more that went on Friday night than what meets the eye. Connections were made. And it was just an incredible time. Why? Because community matters. I want us to look at the first church, the early church. What the intentional design, what the church should look like and be like. Acts 2, verse 42. This is right after Holy Spirit falls in the upper room. Peter comes down, goes into the city square, preaches a message, sees 3,000 people come to Christ, and the birth of the church happens right there. This is what happens next. Verse 42. All the believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to sharing in meals and in prayer. I want you to notice what it doesn't say. All the believers said, hey, if I have time, if I've not got something else going on, hey, if it's not an inconvenience, I'll be there. Said all the believers devoted themselves to getting together, fellowshipping, sharing meals, and praying. That word devoted, the Greek word, I butchered it in first service. I'm not even going to try to say it today, but they'll bring it up there for you. Here's what it means. Here's what that word means. To be devoted or constant to one. To be steadfastly attentive to. Give unremitting care to a thing. To persevere and not to faint. To be in constant readiness. To wait on constantly. In other words, they would say the new believers, all the believers were constant. They were steadfast. They were attentive, knowing that, hey, this is important. Us getting together, sharing a meal, praying together. It's important. And they knew that fellowship, koinonia, community. This wasn't a community centered around football. And I love football. I mean, I do. And it wasn't a community centered around golf. It wasn't a community centered around couponing or whatever you're hunting. It wasn't a community. Those things are not bad. But when they become the center... But they were a community that were centered around, hey, we've got to meet. We've got to get together. This is going to help us grow. This is going to help us in our walk with Christ. Now look at verse 43. A deep sense of awe came over them all. And the apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders. Get this. And all the believers met together in one place, shared everything they had. Here's what's happening. The environment that the first church created was this. Hey, you're family now. You'll never want for anything. hey, you're family now. If I find out you have a need, we're going to find a way to meet it. I'm telling you, I was so proud of our community a couple of weeks ago when we had a family in our church that a tornado come through where they were staying, and they were in RVs, and it tore the RVs apart. And I watched there, and I got a call